We're live here. Good afternoon, and welcome to Expose Yourself to Art, a show that looks at the creative process by inviting artists to join us in a chat about their life and their work. My name is David Schrader, and my usual companion, Linda Schiller, is off doing her own little creative work today at, I believe, Prospect Theater. So we'll carry on alone without her. Okay. We have a special guest today, Robert Chiesa. Now, I first came upon Robert, long time ago, 20, 30 years ago, maybe. A friend of mine said, hey, I just found this guy who makes very creative movies. Come on over to my house and view it. And I went over there. It was a short little film. I think it was called Snail and Friend. And I just sat there mesmerized. It was a beautiful work of art, very thoughtful, very caring feeling. I thought, wow, this guy is a real artist. And then, of course, like many things in life, he just kind of went his way, I went mine. And it was only recently that I thought, in this show, I'd like to find that guy, Roberto Chiesa, and see if he's still doing films, because I was so impressed with what he was doing at the time. And he has been. He's been doing films ever since. Just briefly, Roberto Chiesa is an award-winning creative director, filmmaker, and writer with Alexandria Perrin Company in Modesto. His talent for writing and directing television commercials and corporate communication videos has won him and the company many awards. But in addition to his commercial work, he still has a need to create very focused, sensitive stories that are well received and you might say award-winning. So without my just talking about him, let's bring him on and have him talk about himself a little bit. Come on in, Roberto. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, wonderful. So, wow, filmmaker. You're one of the few filmmakers in the area. I work with the Arts Council. I get to know a lot of artists, a lot of painters, a lot of performers, but not many filmmakers. So one of my first questions is, how did you get into filmmaking? Where did this come from? This desire of yours to make films?
Well, it's probably started when I was growing up on a ranch, when I was making robots out of wood and talking to them. If anybody would have spotted that one, they would have probably said, you need to go see a psychologist and tell him your problem there. But I didn't have a problem. I enjoyed doing what I was doing. That's probably, in a sense, when I look back at it, where it really started. I grew up on a ranch by myself. I didn't have any friends at the time that lived nearby. So I had to create my own way of life. And I did that with my animals, which I dearly love, my dogs in particular, and the things that I did on the ranch, building little robots out of wood. They just made out of wood. But as time went on, I think I have to attribute some academics to that. And that was really when I was at Modesto Junior College. And I took a film course, and it was cinematography. And I took that for 2 years that I was at Modesto Junior College. That course was a fantastic course. It was all film. It wasn't video. And you had to do everything yourself, from developing the film to actually doing the final post-production and showing it. That was all inclusive. And so I learned so much. Our instructor at the time, professor, was Harley Lee. And he did a wonderful job. He took interest in his students. And we learned, as I say, we learned everything from developing the film to writing our stories and why we were writing, what it was all about, what was the narrative all about, how do we get to that, what is our thinking. It wasn't just hands-on with cameras and film and the editing part of it. It was this part of it also. How do you start? What do you do with that little idea? Let's develop that into a film. And so for 2 years, I did that. And I worked with different people, but the main person I worked with was a guy by the name of Vic Stencil. And he and I started doing projects together in school. The first project I did in school is called The Contract. And that was our thesis, basically. And The Contract was about a mafia assassinator. I was the one who was being assassinated. Vic Stencil was the one who was going to do the shooting. This is a great story, by the way. And so we cleared everything with the police department, and we were going to shoot this downtown. Coming off the steps of the courthouse, Vic was on a building with a 30-06 scoped rifle. And as I was coming down the stairs, he was going to shoot, hit me, and I was dead. Well, we went through that. But during the process of me coming down the stairs, all of a sudden, someone comes running out of a building, screaming and yelling, "You got to stop this. You got to stop. Lady just fainted." And they called the police. The guy that was running out was George Lucas's father. And he came up to me and said, "You can't do this. I have a son in Hollywood, and he can't do things like this. You can't do this. Look what you're doing." Mad. He was mad at me. And I said, "Well, maybe you better talk to our instructor, Harley Lee, but we have permission to do this." Well, the cops came, and we had to convince the cops that I did speak with the head of police. What was his name? I can't think of his name now, but he was the chief of police. He gave us full honors to go ahead and do what we wanted to do. But it upset a lot of people, including George Lucas's father. By the way, I became very good friends with his dad after that. We could sit and talk about that, and then we went on from there. But it was quite something. The Modesto Bee took a photo of it, and it made the front pages. And there we were, talking with a bunch of police officers, telling us that we couldn't do this. We did have to come down from the roof with the rifle, but we actually got the shot before Vic had to come down. So that was our school. That was the thesis, and it worked really well.
Oh, wow.
It was a big film. The Contract is what it was called.
Was it a real scope rifle?
Pardon me?
Was it a real rifle that you were using? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was a real rifle. But, in those days, you could get away with, that's the day. Those were the days that, pickups had gun racks in the back, and you would see someone, with a shotgun or a rifle, a 30-06 or a 30-30 in the gun rack. It was okay. Not nowadays. You do that nowadays, and you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Well,
filming that one sounds a lot different than some of the work you've done since then. You've gone away from assassins.
Well, right, yeah. Those were that was all in school. Those were the projects that we worked on, and the project that I worked on and completed. Yeah, from that point on, then I was doing films. I started doing films on my own. The Snail and Friend film that you spoke about. That was a film that I just decided to do strictly on my own, and it had to do with creatures of all living sorts and the compassion and kindness for those creatures. In this case, it was a snail.
Right, I remember. Very touching.
Yeah.
So before we went on air, you were telling me about some further, what would you say, development or education you got in filmmaking. Contacted someone in LA.
Right.
Yeah.
Vic and I went on in filmmaking, and we made an ecology, called an ecology announcement at the time. And it was, we contacted a producer in Los Angeles, Paul Henning, who was the producer of Beverly Hillbillies. And Nowadays, it doesn't happen like that, but it did then. He said, we told him about what we were doing and in school and projects that we did, and this project that we did out of school. And he said, well, I'd like to see it. So we sent it to him, and he liked it. And he said, well, I'd like to run this in some of the PBS stations that we have here. He says, I'm going to get it on for you. He says, and by the way, he said, I'd like to invite both of you to my home. And are you kidding me? Two filmmakers that, were looking for a career in filmmaking. And we have a producer that says to us, come and stay at my home. And the reason why he said that is because we were looking at also getting a job, anything in Hollywood or Los Angeles. Well, Paul Henning was a producer of the Beverly Hillbillies. And so we were looking at hopefully getting a job there. And when we went there, a job possibility was there. The only problem is that the series had run for 7 years, and CBS canceled it while we were there. So that knocked us out. It was a great experience being there. I met George Burns with his cigar. I sat down and talked with him. He asked about Modesto. He was just a great guy. We went to the Brown Derby. We were treated at the Brown Derby restaurant with Paul Henning and his family. Met Guy Scarpita, who was the editor at that time for the Beverly Hillbillies. I met a lot of the people in cinematography. Was on the set of with Haas and Little Joe Bonanza, and talking with those people. It was a great experience. But the show that I wanted to be on, to go to work, and Vic as well, was canceled. So we had to come back. Paul Henning offered me a job. The producer did offer me a job at the LA Times as a cameraman, which I refused. I didn't want to go to the LA Times and work as a cameraman. So I came back to Modesto. And when I came back to Modesto, I started working on my own little private films and started my own little company called Roberto Chiesa Films.
Hey, before we get there, I just want to jump back to George Burns asking you about Modesto. Do you remember what you told him?
I said, it's a great little town. You need to come and visit sometime. I said, you can smoke cigars there all you want, and he was laughing and he was joking with it and just having a good time. But that's what I talked about. I said, come to Modesto. I said, I'll invite you to my house. I said, and you can have some spaghetti. I'm Italian. I said, and I love to cook. It's the other thing that I like to do. And he was laughing and he said, oh, yeah. Next time I'm there, maybe I'll look you up. Who knows? But that's what we talked about. We talked about cooking. We talked about coming to Modesto and staying for a while. What was involved in Modesto. It was a great little town. Come and see us.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I'm asking, do you recall the time frame this was about what the time frame? What was 1950s, 60s?
No, that was I think it was 1973.
73. Okay.
Yeah, 73 or 77. That's in there. Yeah.
Do you remember how big Modesto was back then?
Probably had a population of about 50,000, maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is that in my interviewing people and talking with them, even though Modesto was a relatively small town, it seemed to have this cluster of very, very creative people. And well, you mentioned one of them, obviously, George Lucas and his father. But were you aware of other creative folks in the area at that time?
Not much, no.
Not much.
I really wasn't.
Okay.
I really wasn't. And that's what made it difficult because I wanted to be involved with other people. I wanted to feed off of them as well. Talk about ideas, talk about the culture, talk about the creativity, talk about programs and development, film development, those kinds of things. It really wasn't there. I mean, even with the classes that I took and for 2 years in film, everyone went their own way, and most people kind of forgot about film. There were some that still did a little writing on the side and so forth, but you know, you phase out of it.
Uh-huh.
And I never did. I never did phase out of it. I always had it in my blood. I don't know if it was a good thing or not, but I always had it in my blood, and I still do.
Something was in your blood. Before we went on the air, you mentioned that you've kind of always been attracted to writing. You've always wanted to write, and you told me that little anecdote when your sister asked you what you wanted to do. Uh,
Yeah, I think I was in high school at the time. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and my sister said to me, "What is it that you want to do? What is it? Where are you going with your life? What is it?" And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I just want to think." I know that it's out there. And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I just want to think about things." And I couldn't explain it to her. To this day, even when I do my writing, there's a lot of thinking that goes into it. Maybe that's what I meant, but the thought process is what gets you going to wherever you want to go. You have to have it here, and you have to think, for me, to think about it. What am I going to do? Where am I going? How am I going to handle this? A lot of thought goes into the things that I do, especially in my writing to this day, because not only am I doing commercial projects right now, but I'm also doing other projects for myself on the side, my side projects. And that's the more creative end of it.
right. So, what was the thinking behind? We're going to show a video here very quickly. Williams doll. What was the thinking that went into that when you put that together?
I found a book, um, and I was making films. I wanted to make films, and this was an educational film, but it was also an entertainment film, a mini movie. Um, but I found a book called Williams Doll, and it was written by Charlotte Zolotow. And it really got my attention because when I was small, I wanted a doll. When I was just a little guy, I wanted a doll. And, I was raised, I'm Italian. I was raised in an Italian family with a wonderful father and a wonderful mother. But an Italian dad asking him for a doll for his son would have never worked in a million years, but it did. And he got me a doll. And so I don't ever know what happened to that doll, but I had a doll. Remember, I don't know if it was like a Raggedy Andy type doll. And so it brought back memories. It brought back memories for me when I found the book. So I uh, contacted Charlotte Zolotow, the author, who was with Harper Books at that time, New York. And she said, "That's interesting. You want to make a film?" She said, "I'm going to be in San Francisco." She said, "Well, maybe we can talk about it. I can meet you there and we can talk about it." So there was another great situation. And I said, "Absolutely." So she told me the time that she was going to be here. And I met with Charlotte Zolotow in San Francisco. I believe it was at the Palace Hotel. And we discussed what I wanted to do, how I wanted to approach the film. And I told her about my story of having a doll when I was when I was young. So she was impressed, and so she said, "Sure." She said, "That sounds like a great deal." So at that time, I was involved with a production company, a distribution company, educational film company called Phoenix Films. And so I contacted them, and they said, "That sounds like an interesting story. You've got the okay from the author." And so we had to go through all that paperwork. And they said, "Sure, we would love to distribute the film." And they also gave me the money to do the film.
Ah,
And yeah, they footed the bill for it.
it all
So it was, it wasn't all that much in those days. I think it was close to about $20,000 to do what I wanted to do. and did the production here in Modesto. Used all local people. They were wonderful. I've always believed in unknown talent. That there's more unknown talent there is known talent, and made the film. And Phoenix Film distributed the film, and it did very well.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at it. See if I can bring it up here, see if I can make it work. Here we go.
I've been contemplating, I'd like a special friend. Someone to
Big race between William and Brian. Get ready, get set, go!
and we'll pretend, know my dreams and wishes, and be my little friend. I'll hold him when I sleep at night, he'll keep me company. I'll tell him all my secrets, and he'll tell his to me. Morning comes and wake me up, the start of the again. We'll share our time.
Okay, see you, Michelle. Hey, William, let's get on. Yeah, come on.
How many times I have wondered just what this feeling meant to me. How many times I have wanted somebody real special to share his time with me. Hold him when I sleep at night, he'll keep me company. I'll tell him all my secrets, and he'll tell his to me. When the morning comes, he'll wake me up, we'll start our day again. We'll share our time together, my special little friend.
Well, hello there. Hey, you guys! Want to come in and play some Star Rocket? I'd better not, Sean. My dad wants me to get right home after school. I can play for a while. Okay, come on, let's go. Hey, Dad! I went to school today.
Hey, William, you did? Oh, that's great. Good for you. William, I'd like to have you meet Mrs. Lawson. Mrs. Lawson, this is William.
Well, hello there, William. Hi. And this is Melissa. Hi, William. What you doing? Silver Rose. Can I help too? Sure. Hey, William. Didn't know you like dolls. Yeah, I didn't know you were a sissy. Come on, let's get out of here. I don't want to hurt. See you later, creep. See you later, sissy.
Ready, set, hut, hut. Hey, nice grab. Oh, hi, Doris.
Hi, Mark.
Here's a letter from Gramps. Hey, Gramps is coming for your birthday. Wants to know what you want.
Could I have a doll?
A doll? Dolls are for girls. How about a football helmet? That's for boys.
Sure, dolls just for girls. Hey, Dad, Gramps is here. William, you gotta make a wish.
still awake? Oh, I had a great day. How about you? Did you enjoy your birthday?
Yeah, Grandpa. It was a real good birthday. I liked the football game a lot.
But there's something else, isn't there?
It's just that it's, well, I kind of wanted a doll.
A doll. Why did you want a doll?
Well, I could talk to it, show it things, take care of it, and hug it. I just want a doll.
I understand.
But my dad says dolls for girls. The guys call me a sissy and a creep.
But you still want a doll. All right. It's been a long day. It's time for you to go to sleep.
Hi, Gramps.
Good night, young man. Oh, and happy birthday.
Why, Dad? Why did you buy William a doll? I don't get it. Dolls are for girls, not for boys.
Are they, son?
Well, yeah, sure they are.
Raggedy Andy. Do you remember Raggedy Andy, Mark?
Raggedy Andy? Yeah, I remember Raggedy Andy.
You must have been just about William's age. You dragged that poor doll around with you wherever you went. Oh, and the time that he got left behind when we went up to the cabin? Do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
You cried yourself to sleep. And I slipped out in the middle of the night and drove the 50 miles home to get him.
50 miles? Gee, Dad, I didn't know you did that.
Oh, I made up some story about having found him in a suitcase. Oh, but your mother knew. She gave me a hug that nearly broke my ribs. And I never saw a happier little boy than you when you found him in your bed the next morning.
Dad, that was different. Raggedy Andy wasn't a real doll.
Oh, it was real to you.
Yeah, but not like a girl's doll.
But the feelings are the same, Mark. Is it any different for William to express his emotions to a Raggedy Andy, a teddy bear, or a doll? Son, kids are born with a lot of love inside them. Look at William. Little boys have just as much love inside them as little girls. And it's the most natural thing in the world to let that love out. But if you get the idea that, well, that there's something wrong with showing affection, well, you stop doing it. After a while, you forget how. Maybe you even forget how to feel it.
Oh, I don't know, Dad. That's pretty heavy.
Well, maybe. But you haven't forgotten. In fact, you're pretty good at showing affection. I've watched you with William. And I know how you are with me. Mark, it seems to me that it's just as important for a man to know how to show affection as it is for him to know how to stand up for himself. A father can teach his son those things. And little boys grow up to be fathers. Someday William is going to have children of his own. His children, your grandchildren, Mark, are going to be very lucky because William has a doll.
Hey, William, come on, let's go play football. Okay, be right there. You gotta play Dad.
Oh, he's out working in the yard.
I'm gonna play football with the guys at the park.
Okay, have fun.
I've been contemplating. I'd like a special friend.
Hey, Dad!
One to travel with me, with lots of time to spend.
Yeah, okay, son, but don't be going too long because Grant's gonna be leaving a little bit, okay?
Pretend, oh, my dreams and wishes, and be my little friend. How many times I have wondered just what this feeling meant to me. How many times I have wanted somebody real special to share his time with me. I'll hold him when I sleep at night, he'll keep me company. I'll tell him all my secrets, and he'll tell his to me. When morning comes, he'll wake me up, we'll start our day again. We'll share our time together, my special little friend.
Wow. Very nice. Very thoughtful. So, what was the response to this? Where was it distributed? People obviously talked about it. This was, I
Oh,
would
they
say,
did.
a
Oh, yeah.
semi-controversial issue.
There were issues with it with some people. Phoenix Films was the educational distributor at the time, and it got a wide distribution. Letters would come back, and so they would send me the letters from various people throughout the country. My son will never have a doll. Why are you even distributing a film like this? You're going to grow up to be a sissy. And then we had other letters that said, just what the film said and my intentions for the film, that William will grow up to be a thoughtful, nurturing father because he had a doll. And I believe that. And so, but that's fine. People have their opinions and they can talk about them, but it was very controversial. Probably more controversial today than it was then even. But, I'm glad I made the film and I stand by it. It was a wonderful piece of work that I was able to do and get out.
What was the date of it? When did you make it? I was just looking at, the clothing and the surroundings. What, 1980s, 1990s?
Yeah, it was, I believe that was 1983.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I made that film. Right.
Were you involved in any of the discussions about the film publicly? At
No,
or anything like that?
No, only with the distributor that they would send me, the letters and writings from people and what they would say. I would have discussions with the distributor. Um, and there was a time where I felt the distributor was questioning whether they should continue to distribute the film because of its origins and what it was possibly saying. And as far as I was concerned, I said, yes, distribute the film, keep it out. And they did, and they did well. It was a good distribution for William Saw. It's no longer being distributed. But at the time, I think it worked well. And I think it would work well today in schools and libraries. Now, whether they would accept it in schools and libraries, don't know. They should.
Yeah. Very powerful. Anyway, I'm kind of keeping track of time here, and we have another video. You're a more recent project of yours. Again, very powerful in terms of the content and the subject matter.
Yes.
Want to tell us briefly about it before I start it up here?
Yeah, the film's called Inside My Being, and the impetus of me making that film was my sister who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. I was her caretaker, and it was everything that I went through, the journey that I took with her, that was the reason why I made this film. And what I found in being with my sister and taking care of my sister is that as bad as she was, where she got to the point where she couldn't speak, she couldn't eat, and she would just stare, that she still knew who I was. Whenever I touched her face or I held her hand, and I looked into her eyes, and I would say to her, her name was Alma, Alma, I love you. And she would crack a little bit of a smile. I got through to her. She knew her heart and soul was still alive and well. And it got to me, and to this day, I still have inside of me that I believe that an Alzheimer patient, no matter how bad they are, that the heart and soul is still alive. And it's a matter of reaching and touching that heart, touching that soul. And I did with my sister. And so that's the reason why I made the film. I had to do something, and I made the film.
Well, let's take a look.
Take a look.
Going to take a second here to load. There we go.
Never forget, as I walk into the night, inside me, deep in the unknown caverns of my being, inside my being, where my heart and soul is still me, that
Oops, what happened here?
to touch my hand, caress my face, into my eyes and see me, you will never lose me, or I you. Oh, my daughter, how you watch me with such pity as I wander through your house. It hurts me to see you hurt because of me, but there is nothing I can do. My mind is horribly under siege, trying to stay alive each day, each hour, each moment. There is nothing I can do as I move closer to the night.
Mama, it's so difficult as I watch time take you away. Each day that goes by, my pain grows for you, and I wonder, what will tomorrow be like? Where will you be in a week, a month, a year from now? Where will you be, Mama?
Sometimes the way you look at me, the way you stare at me, I can tell that you see a stranger, disassembling and unresponsive, a shell of who I used to be. I don't blame you for feeling the way you do. I know I'm not the same anymore. After all, I can't even hold a glass up to my mouth. I eat like a child, with my fingers. And when I try to help around the house, I do things that are out of the ordinary, even though I believe I'm helping. But I'm not, am I? And oh, yes, I wear diapers now because I can't be me anymore. No, I'm not the same anymore, but remember me as I was, not as I am. Be patient with me and continue to show me your love. I know I'm always falling asleep. I want to stay awake because it makes me feel good when I see you. But then sometimes when I see you, I don't know you. And yet you are my daughter who genuinely loves me, and you show it, and I can feel it deep inside.
How you doing, Mama? I've been thinking about all the things you've always done for me. All the campfire girls that you ran their meetings and slumber parties that you did. Music lessons. You took good care of me, Mama. And I know it's hard not to be able to do all those things now. But I remember. And I know they're still part of who you are. And I just want you to know that I love you. I think you're wonderful. I think you're wonderful. And I love you, Mama. And I just want you to know that. I just want you to know that. Strange as it may seem, sometimes when I sit quietly with you and look into your eyes, really look into your eyes, it's as if I hear you speaking to me. Somehow it makes me feel good, Mama.
Oh, Jenny, I love you even though I can't tell you or say the words. My heart and soul say them for me. Sometimes I remember how tiny, tiny you were, and I remember singing you to sleep. Na, 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 go to sleep, my little girl. Oh, God, must I go back to this horror that's taking everything away, everything I was, everything? I see the night coming closer, and I can't stop the night. Jenny, don't stop loving me. The days ahead are clouded with fear and uncertainty. I see it in your eyes. But remember that each day for me is a struggle, and your love and care is a blessing for me.
There's days I can handle you, and then there's days I just can't. It's too difficult. Sometimes I even hate you for being like this. I just want it to go away. I want you back, Mama. But it doesn't make any difference what I want. It's just the way it is. I know I told Mama I would never place her in a care facility of any kind. But this dreaded disease has changed all that. I'm totally worn out, physically, emotionally. I can't do it anymore. If I put her in a care facility, will she somehow know that she's in a different place and think I've abandoned her? Oh, God, I hope not. I'll visit as much as I can. Maybe I can be a better daughter to her there than I can at home.
My dear daughter, always remember, as I walk into the night, that inside me, deep in the unknown caverns of my being, inside my being, where my heart and soul is still me, that to touch my hand, to caress my face, to look into my eyes and see me, you will never lose me, or I you.
I try to spend as much time with Mama now as I can. It does seem to be somewhat easier for me emotionally and physically, but it's still not easy.
I watch the visitors now, some with children in hand, as they walk past me to others who, like me, wait. I like watching the children. They look into my eyes and I in theirs. I was young once, just like her, small, just like her, and I had a doll. Her name was Lorelei, pretty little Lorelei. People here are friendly. They smile at me. I want to smile back, but I can't. I can't anymore.
The staff does a good job taking care of Mama, but I know all too well that she'll never leave here. This disease will have its way, and on its own terms. So I'll give her as much time as I can and just love her. Somehow I believe she knows. Somehow I believe I reach her deep inside. Hard to explain. It's just that something between her and me.
I don't know her. They say it's me and that I'm pretty and that I need to understand that it's me. I don't know how to understand. The days, they come and go, and I wait. Visitors sometimes bring me books and flowers. I can't read anymore, but I like looking at the flowers. I like to feel them. They're soft and pretty. I don't know the visitors. I don't remember them. But there is someone who comes to see me more than the others. She calls me Mama. I like it when she calls me Mama and tells me she loves me. She's so familiar. I feel good inside when she's here.
It's a nice place here, Mama. You have lots of flowers like you love. I've been thinking about all the stories you've always told me about when you were a little girl. How you'd climb up on the cliff above your ranch, and the wind would blow through your hair, and you'd wish you had a friend. You didn't have any sisters, and your brother wasn't always nice to you. Remember? I remember you telling me that your granny loved music, so you learned how to play the accordion. My favorite story of all was the story about the rabbits. Your dad and your brother had corralled a bunch of wild rabbits because they kept getting into the garden. And you thought it was terrible they were going to kill all those rabbits. So you went to your dad and asked him if he'd let them go. He just laughed. So you went out late at night and lifted the latch and set all those rabbits free. And you thought they'd be so grateful for giving their freedom, but instead they ran right over the top of you and scratched you all up. Remember? Do you remember, Mama?
I remember.
I'm so glad. It's good to remember. I remember too, Mama. I remember everything you ever taught me. And all the things that make you who you are, I remember. I love you, Mama. And good day today, Mama. Good day. Let's get you into bed because I know you're tired. I remember all the times you used to tuck us into bed. A lot of times. And every night, you'd sit by us and you'd say, tell me the best thing about your day. And you'd always listen to us. I thought it would bring back a good memory for Mama if I sang the Nana song she used to sing to me when I was small. But as I was singing, I felt as if she was trying to tell me something. It was that strange feeling between her and me when we would somehow connect without saying a word. It was a good feeling. But this time it was as if I felt as if she was trying to say goodbye. You know, it was the best part of the day for me, Mama. Just to see your smile. And you'd always kiss us 3 times and tell us to stay in bed and sleep all night long. I have to go away for a few days. When I come back, I'll bring some flowers and go through your books. In the meantime, they'll take good care of you here, okay? So you sleep tonight. You sleep tonight, and I'll see you soon. Good night, Mama. I love you, Mom. Know that I love
We're going to stop. We're coming close to the end of
Okay.
our time together. Wow. Very powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's an emotional, powerful film. The woman, of course, Jenny Abbott, was instrumental in the film. Good friend of mine, and she was just instrumental. I'm so glad that I was able to work with her. The woman who was Mama is an actual Alzheimer patient. She was my sister's roommate. She was totally lost, and it was wonderful to be able to bring her out of what she was going through that only she knew, and work on the film. When I would go to her and say, Arlene, it's time to, we need to work on the film, a big smile would come across her face. She was ready to go. And when it was all done, she'd go back into her shell and
Wow.
be who she was. So many things, so many powerful things there. This is a film for caregivers more than anything. And it's just instrumental, and I'm so glad that I made the film, and there's other films that I want to make similar to that for caregivers.
So, what has been the response to this as it's gone into distribution?
It's into distribution now. It's on. You can find it on. What do you call it? On online at. I'm lost for words right now. The film got to me. It is in distribution with Phoenix. They have a distribution facility now. It's a much smaller distribution facility that they are distributing the film. But you can find it on Amazon. You can go on Amazon and find it. Inside My Being, and it's for sale. So anybody can go on Amazon and find it, Inside My Being, and if they want to buy it, they can.
Yeah, it's an apt title, and
Pardon?
it's an apt title, and the title seems to describe you as well. It takes me back to what you told your sister.
Right,
I want to think.
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
That's the source of your creativity, your ideas. These are very powerful ideas. They touch a lot of people.
Inside My Being has touched a tremendous amount of people. The facility that my sister was in saw the film, and they had asked me to travel throughout the country doing speaking engagements, regarding the film and my journey that I took with my sister. So it was very rewarding for me to do that. I did that for about a year, and it was extremely rewarding. What I felt from the people, and hopefully what the people felt from me in the film.
So when was this that you did this traveling around and with the film and talking with people?
What else did I what?
Oh, when was this that you did this traveling around? Was this
Oh,
20 years
this
ago or?
yeah, this was almost 10 years ago when I did that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
So now I'm doing my thing, my films, and like I said, when I was working with the doing ag stories and working with the Farm Bureau and Foodies, and doing my own personal projects. I've written 2 of them now that I would like to develop into film. One is called Aviana, which has a lot to do with what you just saw, but has a lot of other things involved in it as well. And then I'm writing a children's book called The Snail and a Friend. And that's similar to what you saw, taking a little bit of a different view as far as the writing aspect of it. But it's a little children's book that I'm working on. Still not done with it. In Aviana, I've written the manuscript. This needs to be a play or it needs to be in film form. And so that's what I'm trying to find now.
Well, our time is up. It has been a delight having you.
Pleasure being here.
We have to have you back again. There are so many ideas, so many very powerful emotions that you deal with in your filmmaking, and I'm grateful that you shared them with us today. And I hope we can do something like this again with one of your new projects. So,
absolutely. Just let me know. I'd be happy to do that. It's good being here. It's good being with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll say goodbye to the being on air.